It says,
And all his righteousness, and then all these things will be added.
but can you do me a favor? Because you're like, you already jumped ahead. Can you go to Matthew 6 and the Amplify? I
Okay.
want you to read this in it. Now, I want y'all to hear her
I'm
read
sorry
this.
if I jumped ahead. I was
No,
just-
don't worry about it. I want you to read Matthew 6, verse 25 through 34 in the Amplified. Because I think what we need to do is we need to, if, that's the part I really want to get at is where am I directing my focus so I ain't wasting my time? You get what I'm saying?
6:33.
Yeah, it's 6:33, but I want you to read verses 25 through 34. Yeah, it's kind of lengthy, but I want you to read it in the Amplified.
25 through 34.
Okay, now just listen to this in the Amplified.
Therefore I tell you, stop being perpetually uneasy, anxious, and worried about your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Is not the great life greater in quality than food, and the body far above and more excellent than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father keeps feeding them. Are you not worth much more than they? And who of you, by worrying and being anxious, can add 1 unit of measure, cubit, to his stature or to the span of his life? And why should you be anxious about clothes? Consider the lilies of the field, and learn thoroughly how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his magnificent excellence, dignity, and grace was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is alive and green, and tomorrow is tossed into the furnace, will he not much more surely clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore, do not worry and be anxious, saying, what are we going to have to eat? Or what are we going to have to drink? Or what are we going to have to wear? For the Gentiles, heathen, wish for and crave and diligently seek all these things, and your heavenly Father knows well that you need them all. But seek, aim, and strive after, first of all, his kingdom and his righteousness, his way of doing and being right, and then all these things taken together will be given you besides. So do not worry or be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have worries and anxieties of its own. Sufficient for each day is its own trouble.
Okay, now look, I had her read that so that you can see when you put your focus, when you're seeking after God, God goes, look, if I took care of all these other things, how dare you think, not how dare, but why do you think I'm not going to take care of you? So I had her read that because I want you to show some contrast. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon is now talking about vanity. Everything is vanity. He says that the stuff I went after, it ain't worth nothing. But the writer here says, I thought about these things, and everything I thought about, I gave credit to God. God took care of it. So I say that when we go after, when we seek after, when we put our focus on the things of God, God has said, look, I'll take care of it. I got you. And so it transitions you from a state of anxiousness to a state of almost peace because you know God got you. Y'all know what I'm talking about? See, I found that when those smart guys come to me, they go, look, man, I don't even know if there is. And they explain to me they had this traumatic experience, or my brother died, or so-and-so passed on, and I did this thing happen, and I go, well, wait a minute, that don't mean that it ain't a God. It happened. But now you thought about these things, you formulated this opinion, now you ain't going, look, you decided to abandon that there even is a God. And I saw that movie where they was like that, I guess where God was on trial, where they were trying to, it wasn't God was on trial, they said God's not dead, where it was like there was this thing, and they were debating it. And that guy, remember that guy, he had a traumatic experience, didn't he? So the traumatic experience because it was perceived that God should do it this way and he didn't do it the way you thought, that now you like this. I'm going to try to say, I'm going to try to put it all about my education. I'm going to try to put it about all these other things. But you know what? I ain't got nothing to do with it. So it moved him from a state of needing God to a state of godlessness. He was like, and was debating with a guy and basically broke down and it came out. The more he talked, and it got down to the emotion of the matter. He didn't answer my prayer when my mama died. I was like, oh.
Yeah, he said something like, he said, why do you hate God? And he's like, do you hate God? He said, yes, I hate God. He was like, how can you hate somebody if they don't exist? That was a good movie, man.
So in this thing, I had it read there. He says, Solomon says, I gave my heart. Now I wanted to make sure that I was getting that across, to seek after the things of God, and God has promised that He will meet that. He will meet you. He will deal with you. He will keep His promise with you. And so what I wanted to show you was there was also another thing that said this. Now, when it says here, and I gave my heart to seek and search. Now, to seek and search what? To search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail have God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. Now, I wrote something down there that said, where, I didn't write that down. It says, look, where your heart, there it is. I got it right where I need to. It says, I put down underneath there, I said, where is your heart? What is your heart towards? Because the word of God in Matthew 6 and 20 Matthew 6 verses 20 through 22 say this, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So if his heart was towards knowledge and wisdom, and we weren't talking about, he was talking about, let me tell y'all what was going on with Solomon. He had asked God for knowledge. He had asked God in the beginning for the wisdom to be able to take care of folks. He did. But they said over a period of time, he was going after all other kind of wisdom. He was like, I want to know how this operates. I want to know how that operates. And because he was like that, he was king. There was a lot of other folks around him giving him input too. He drew a crowd. They said that he had such a crowd. He had all these people talking all these different things, and so he had all this around him, but his heart was going after how things operated and how things worked. And what I found was that it wasn't talking about how the things of God work. It was how stuff worked. Now let me tell y'all what the reason I thought that was important, because I was like, well, wait a minute. When I think about how the moon is where it needs to be, and where the sun is where it needs to be, and let me tell you, this one blew my mind. How the earth spin and we don't fall off. I know this other, but I think about that kind of stuff. And I go, you know why? Because God told it to do what it's supposed to do, and it do it.
Yeah.
So listen what I just said. I said when I think about how it works, I give glory to God. But when you start thinking, you go, well, this is this, and this is why this worked like this. There's a tendency sometimes to take, this credit for this revelation that you have and think that you know it all. I just go like this. I don't know how you keep me on the earth, God, but you good. Because I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how you can turn. Look, I get on that, we little boys, we get on that little wheel, and, me and my brother run that little thing around, and we sit on it. It's like a little wheel, and we just be spinning on it, and if we spin it too fast, we slang off. I don't come off this earth. I know y'all was just like, this is gravity, Reverend. Shut up, you don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. You get what I'm saying? But when I think about how that works, and how all of it works, and look, how the water come up to the edge of the, just right up to the edge of the land, and then go back, because God told it to do so. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, in me looking at nature, I give God the glory.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? So you got to be careful that in your study and trying to gain wisdom of how things operate, that you don't start looking at how they operate and miss out on giving credit to the one who made it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. And it says where a man's heart is. So Lord, let me find out where my heart is. I want to make sure that in my pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, Lord, that in it, I don't become a godless searcher, but I become, I guess, I become so very observant how awesome you are. You get what I'm saying? I mean, from clicking a light on and light just, really? Man, from getting in your car, no, you go to bed, it's night. You wake up and it's day and the sun right where it need to be. Not too hot, look, not burning up the earth and everything on it, but just, really? Breathing in air. Man, I think about that kind of stuff. I mean, just your heartbeat. When you start thinking about these things, I'm going, God, you are awesome.
You know, it is amazing. Just when you say that, breathing in air, and then we putting off carbon monoxide to help plant growth. But if we're in a enclosed place and we're breathing in this air, that carbon monoxide the air will dissipate, and that carbon monoxide will kill us. Will eventually kill us.
So you
It's amazing.
You should we now let me tell y'all what I'm saying. If we say we reverence God, should we be in awe of what he does? When we think about what he does? I mean, when you look at all of nature, I am in awe of how it works.
It's amazing. Yes.
I mean, sometimes you got to pull over and go, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got some azaleas in the yard. Wintertime, you thought they were dead. But you go out there and look, and they blooming. And I'm like, what was that, a season ago? I mean, just how everything works. I'm going to go, God, you're awesome. I thought that was pretty good that we got to make sure that in our study to gain knowledge and wisdom that we don't start just focusing so much on what we're studying, but being able to see God in it. Any comment?
Well, it's interesting because when I go back to First Kings here, and it says here that God said, because you have asked this and have not asked for yourself long life, riches, or the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall arise after you. So God gave him the ability to be able to see and to discern in his mind. And instead of seeing and discerning, seeking more about God, he began seeking more about all of the vanity of life.
Yes.
And at the end of his search, came to the conclusion that it's all worthless.
Worthless. Let me tell y'all what I mean. You know why this just startles me? You know how much time we waste chasing stuff. I mean, really. I mean, we'll listen, y'all. I'm not knocking having things, but I'm knocking how much time we put into chasing the things, thinking that the thing's gonna make you happy. It's not. And I think that what he's saying here is, when you chase this stuff, at the end of it, you ain't gonna never be satisfied. I'm telling you, I have. Look, let me give y'all an example. I bought, y'all know how I am. I fought cell phones. I ain't like cell phone. I ain't think man need to be walking around with cell phone. I thought it was too much. I want a house phone. I don't know all I want. So they taught me into getting a cell phone. I got my first little cell phone. I was like, I'm good. And then everybody was like, well, look, you can't do too much with that. Your phone won't be able to deal with all the other phones. So I got this Galaxy S4. And so I was like, I'm still learning what it do. Y'all know it's already a Galaxy S6. And I'm telling you, I ain't going to be chasing all that stuff. I'm saying that this world is almost, it's like it's set up for knowing that man is going to always be pursuing the next hot thing. So what they do is, look, okay, I'm giving you another example. I go in Walmart and all I want is a quart of oil. But because they know I got this nature in me of chasing stuff, they got an impulse aisle. They got flashlights and gum and lip balm, and they got everything in there. So now with my little thing of oil, all I got is oil. And you know what? I had it out with a lady at Walmart. We had to talk about it. I said, now look, I ain't want to come in here but get just this little thing of oil. And y'all know good and well, y'all used to have a little blue basket. Now you don't have a little blue basket. Now I got to get this big old basket to try to go down the thing. And I said, you already know we're going to buy more stuff. She said, that's why we don't put them blue baskets out there. Because they know suckers like me are going to come along. They can't control themselves. So now I'm walking out to the car, not with a quart of oil, but I got 6 flashlights, some lip balm, and a screwdriver. Nothing to do with a quart of oil. You get what I'm saying? So man, it's this insatiable appetite when you chasing after stuff to get more stuff, and God is like, calm down. Why don't you put that thing that you have, that desire that you have? What?
They're screaming. They can't hear you. They want you to get them out.
Oh.
I just got a phone call from somebody.
They streaming this now?
Yeah.
Somebody want? Y'all, I said too much. A sucker like me.
What'd you say, Ariel?
Yeah, you screaming.
Can you hear what you say?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Testing.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Please forgive me for anything. Please forgive me. All right, we're going to get started this again. I really believe that we have to make sure that we're not in pursuit of the stuff to where we're chasing the stuff to try to find satisfaction in the stuff. Because you're never going to be satisfied with the stuff. But I believe that he put in us a desire to pursue something. He wanted the something to be him. So what and I believe that's why we can never be satisfied, because it's misfocused. And it's in the wrong direction. Because now let me tell you what, go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Because if we can get this down in us, what it says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. You got that?
You need to give her a microphone.
Yeah, I'm going to give her a microphone.
Blessed, happy, blithesome. You said chapter 5, verse 5, right?
That's right.
Okay. Joyous, spiritually prosperous, which life, joy, and satisfaction in God's favor and salvation, regardless of their outward conditions, are the meek, the mild, patient, long-suffering, for they shall inherit the earth.
So if I seek the kingdom, if I seek after God, He has promised now, blessed and fortunate, verse 6, Matthew chapter 5, verse 6, blessed, you read 5, that's why I had to read this again. It says Matthew chapter, God bless you. Matthew chapter 5, verse 6 says, blessed and fortunate, listen now, it says blessed and fortunate and happy and spiritually prosperous in the state in which the born again child of God enjoys his favor and salvation are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, uprightness, and right standing with God, for they shall be completely satisfied. So he did want you to have an appetite, but what he wanted you to have an appetite towards is him. Because he says, I'll satisfy you if you can. And you know what? See, I mess with folks. I sometimes I had to preach to some folks that are kind of older, and I said, I remember when Big Jagger used to say, remember that thing? He said, I can't get no satisfaction. Why? Because he was going after stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you could make a song about not being satisfied, but the reason you ain't satisfied, fool, is because you chasing the stuff. But if you could ever get hooked up and start going after the things of God, God says, I will, it says, in the King James, it says, you shall be filled. But in the Amplified, it says, you shall be satisfied. So if I'm satisfied, look, that means that, sometimes when you most say you have an insatiable appetite, that means that you can, you can eat, you just eat, you ain't never full, you just eat. But what God's saying is that when you begin to pursue me and you start tasting of me, he says, I'll satisfy you to where you'll want nothing else. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now, I know we're looking at what Solomon says here, but I need to show you that contrast of going after the things of God and not just pursuing some wisdom, just trying to get some knowledge and some wisdom. But I need to be pursuing you. I put this as I want to try to make sure I keep life application points, and one of the life application point I want to pull out here was, in my quest for knowledge and wisdom, it should bring about a reverence for God and a humility in oneself because of his frailty. Now, what I'm saying is that the more I know about him, I end up reverencing him, and I end up saying, I ain't all that. You get what I'm saying? But it only comes because I get to know him. My relationship, as it grows, and I'm getting I got a relationship with him, but he's revealing himself to me, and those things that at one time looked like they were so hidden, because I go to him and I'm asking him, and I want him to reveal these things. He's revealing it, and the more I found out that he's awesome, and I don't know too much. You know what? Isn't that amazing? That really, in total contrast to how folks pursue knowledge and wisdom. Some folks want knowledge and wisdom so that they can go look at me. But God says, when you come after me, I want you to start looking at me and making yourself a little less. Wow. I thought about that.
Because are you saying if we go after wisdom and knowledge in him, and then we start putting it in perspective in comparison to ourselves, we can't help but see ourselves as small compared to him?
Yes. Okay. So let me tell you how this was going. Solomon got a big circle of people that's sitting around him listening to what he's saying. When he was when they were talking about all these things and how stuff worked, and he had an audience, and everybody was trying to show how much they knew, and they sharing it with Solomon. Solomon going, well, I know some things now, and what he's saying is, that's how I was viewing things. I knew some things, but what I found out, I knew nothing. As much as I thought I knew nothing. So now he says, and the center of this thing was never supposed to be me. It was supposed to be him. So it was like, when I saw it, y'all, when I got this revelation, it was like these celestial bodies were revolving around Solomon. But when Solomon got the revelation, the celestial, he now operating around God to go, look, it's all about God. Where before it was coming around him, but now he go, wait a minute, I'm the preacher now. Let me tell y'all something. It's about God. Make sense? So now we can really, and I often go back to this. I often go, yeah, the bigger my God, the smaller my problems. So I got to make sure that in my quest for knowledge and wisdom, it should bring about a reverence for God and humility in oneself because of his frailty. And let me tell you something. I wrote that just like I heard it, and I didn't get that out of the book. I just need y'all to know I got that. I just heard that, and that's what I wrote down just like that. And I never used frailty, but I figured it out. I had to figure out what the world you talking about. But I found out you know what? Let me tell y'all something. When I figured that thing out, when I was little, I thought I could do everything. I thought I was the fastest. I could jump the highest. But now I'm 50. I can't run as fast as I used to. When I get out of bed, look, I'm older now. You can't just jump out of bed. You got to ease out the bed. You jump out the bed, get dizzy, and fall down. I know now. I understand that. Look, I know y'all. Everybody think that I can just run forever. You ain't gonna. I'm telling you, you are frail. You're not as strong as you think you are. You ain't as smart as you think you are. And so in that, in getting that revelation, now you start saying, you know what, God? You're much greater than I am. And I'm a frail being. Look, from the time you were born, you were destined. From the time you were born, your body is already decaying. I know you may think, hey, I'm getting older. Yeah, but you're getting older, but your body is decaying. I mean, you think you're growing up from youth to adulthood, and things are getting, but you're actually decaying. Okay. One of the things, as we look in here, it says in verse 14, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all this vanity. That's what his revelation is now. And vexation of spirit, that which is crooked. Now listen, this blew my mind. That which is crooked and cannot be made straight. That which is crooked cannot be made straight. And that which is wanting cannot be numbered. And I was looking at that. Now look, this man said, I got all knowledge, I got all wisdom. And he said, what's crooked, stay crooked. He said, I got all this. And look, this was the king getting all knowledge and wisdom. And you would think that if the king got all knowledge and wisdom, he should be able to tell what's crooked, be straight, and it'll go straight. Now what they're saying was, they were like folk that were going to act a fool, going to keep acting a fool, and ain't nothing you can do about it with the knowledge and wisdom you got. So you got to trust that God is the one that'll straighten out the crooked. And it said that in that wanting, I had to look at that. There was a... those that were always in want gonna stay in want. It was like they ain't gonna be able to put a number on it. You know, I used to ask folks. I go, man, you want to be rich? And they go, yeah. I said, how much you need? I don't know. I mean, you don't know? You don't know how much you need? I want to be. I said, you want to be rich? They go, yeah. I said, how much you need? They go, I don't know. And they would go like money to infinity. You can't even put a number on it. I know it's so good. You can't even put a number on it. So man has an insatiable appetite, so he ain't gonna never look. Have y'all seen those stories where the folk win all that, the millionaires win their millions, and then they come back and go, where are they now?
They ain't got nothing.
They ain't got nothing. And then they be like this, I'm trying again. I mean, like, really? What I really want to get out of that is, they always have this insatiable appetite, even though they got something that for you and I, we go, whoa, that's a lot of money. They're like, I ain't satisfied with that. I ain't satisfied with that. And so I was like this. Let me tell you why I'm bringing that out like that. I don't want to have this insatiable appetite that keeps me fiending for stuff and things and money to where it keeps pulling me towards it and pulling me away from God. Y'all get what I'm saying? Somewhere now I gotta go, you know what, God? I thank you. You are enough for me. Listen what I just said. God, you are enough for me. We gotta learn how to be content in God. To go, God, you know what? However you bless me, I'm satisfied. I'm serious. I believe that if he can get us to thinking like that, to where we ain't craving the resources but go after the source, then he'll go, oh.
David, this was like when we first, he was like, look, women, they ain't never satisfied. Mm-hmm. You can do everything right and still do one thing wrong. They ain't never satisfied. And I'm sitting there listening to him like, don't put me in no category like that. But that brought me back to my room, and I'm like sitting here thinking like, okay, am I never satisfied? And this past week, my devotions was just talking about complaining and how we're so quick to complain all the time. And complaining is a sin in itself. And literally, you can be talking to someone at work and be like, man, them kids so bad today. Them kids doing this. Ooh, that person get on my nerves. And before long, your life is full of complaining. You wonder why you feel so sad all the time. Why you feel so down all the time. Because you're not satisfied. You're not satisfied with your, just be content.
Be content. Be content. Listen to this. Okay. If you can learn to be satisfied and content with what God is, well, when I complain about what God blesses me with, I'm saying that what you gave me ain't good enough.
Yeah.
The master, God himself. So he bless you with it and you complain about it. Okay, look, let me show you an example. He bless you with a house, you be like, oh, this house so big, can't keep clean. For real? Are you insane? If God bless you, thank you, Lord. Yes, I am telling you. Oh my God. Ain't nobody. Pastor told me so one time, and I had to think about it. He said this. He said, when the Lord bless you with better, you need to be appreciative of it. But then he said, you need to start. You need to make provision for how he bless you. You know, now let me tell you what it means. I was like this, you got a big old yard now. I said, man, it's going to take a lot to do. He said, well, you get a lawn, man. You get ride lawnmower. And I was thinking, well, wait a minute, I'll adjust my thinking for the blessing that I have. And so I don't end up complaining about it. So you're out there with your little straw hat on trying to push your little piece of lawnmower when you should be like, Lord, I'm going to get a bigger lawnmower because you done blessed me with a bigger piece of land. Hallelujah.
Get a maid to clean that big house.
I ain't heard that one. You keep it clean. You keep that clean.
Yes, Lord. Send them.
That actually
Mary
can't
maids.
go pastor. Because the co-pastor said she wanted a bigger house. I don't want to move to a bigger house. I like the house we had. It's going to be the two of us, all the kids are leaving. I said, we get a big old house, how we going to keep it clean? We can't keep this one clean. And she looked at me and tilted her head to the side. She said, well, of course, we'll have a maid.
Yeah. But you see, let me tell you what happens there. When let's say when you're blessed like that, you have to change your perspective in this new place that God did this thing. So now your perspective has to change from where you used to be to where God is doing something new, and your perspective needs to become larger to be. Man, it's like now I gotta quit. Okay, when we moved from the projects and moved into a house, we had to start thinking differently. So what happened was in the project, somebody else mowed the grass. But when we moved into a house, we were waiting on somebody to come mow the grass. But we had to wake up and figure out, you know what? We're in a house now. So we had to let go of how we thought like when we were in the projects. So now we can start looking at, we got to cut this lawn because it's ours. We didn't even have no washer and dryer because we were used to going to, we call it the washerette.
The laundromat.
But we went to that thing and somebody had to take care of everything in there. We just wash our clothes and walk out. You know what I'm saying? Get your stuff and walk out. But now we got to go and we got to buy washer and dryer. We got to hook because we had to change our perspective for the place that we were now in. And I think that's very pertinent to where when God blesses us, that's how we got to do. God changed my perspective. Get me from operating like I used to being able to see it in this new place and what you do. I know we kind of got off that a little bit, but I'm thinking that as Solomon was talking, he got this revelation of this bigger picture, and it really was trying to move the people towards looking more to God and not themselves. And that's our life application point. God changed my perspective, so I'm not thinking small ball when you're trying to do something great. Amen. Y'all, look, I ran over. Oh, okay. Look, Revelation, you're gonna be I'm done with it. I'm gonna give you this next week. You good? There's one other thing I want to read to you. And so I can close out with this. In Romans chapter 7, verse 14, I kept looking at this saying that, I find that a lot of folks get a lot of knowledge and they get a lot of wisdom. And I had to ask this question of myself. I said, why is it that when I know better, it seems hard to do better? And when I asked the question, he took me here. He said, now look, this is Romans chapter 7, verse 14 through 24. I know it's got, but listen to what it says in the Message Bible. I got to read it to y'all out of the Message Bible. It says, I can anticipate the response that is coming. I know that all God's commands are spiritual, but I'm not. Isn't this also your experience? Yes, I'm full of myself. After all, I've spent a long time in sin's prison. What I don't understand about myself is that I decide one way, but then I act another, doing things I absolutely despise. So if I can be trusted to figure out what is best for myself and then do it, it becomes obvious that God's command is necessary. Let's see. Let me read it again. So if I can't be trusted to figure out what is the best for myself and then do it, it becomes obvious that God's command is necessary. But I need something more. For if I know the law but still can't keep it, and if the power of sin within me keeps sabotaging my intentions, I obviously need help. I realize that I don't have what it takes. I can will it, but I can't do it. I decide to do good, but I don't really do it. I decide not to do bad, but then I do it anyway. My decisions, such as they are, don't result in actions. Sometimes, something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong deep within me and gets the better of me every time. It happens so regularly that it is predictable. The moment I decide to do good, sin is there to trip me up. I truly delight in God's commands, but it is pretty obvious that not all of me joins in with that delight. Parts of me covertly rebel. And just when I least expect it, they take charge. I've tried everything and nothing helps. I'm at the end of my rope. Is there no one who can do anything for me? Isn't that the real question? The answer, thank God, is that Jesus Christ can and does. He acted to set things right in this life of contradictions where I want to serve God with all my heart and mind, but am pulled by the influence of sin to do something totally different. Then chapter 8, verse 1 through 2 says this. The solution, in the Message Bible, it said, the solution is life on God's terms. What the arrival of Jesus, the Messiah, with the arrival of Jesus, the Messiah, that faithful dilemma is resolved. Those who enter into Christ, being here for us, no longer have a life under a continuous, low-lying black cloud. A new power is in operation. The spirit of life in Christ, like a strong wind, has magnificently cleared the air, freeing you from a fated lifetime of brutal tyranny at the hands of sin and death. Amen. I ask you stand to your feet. As you close us out.